So, hello, and welcome to the first episode of Cultural Canvas. Now, this is a new series, a new episode, and also a new podcast for me. In fact, it is the first podcast that I'm ever hosting, so I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to watch it. Now, you might be asking, what is Cultural Canvas? Well, don't worry about it. I'm not going to take the time to explain here, but if you do want to learn more about what this series will be about, just check the description or check the Multium website at multium.com. I just wanted to do an intro real quick and say thank you all for watching. And without further ado, let's start the first episode of Cultural Canvas.
Give it a sec. All right, there we go. We're recording and we're on. So this is the first episode of Cultural Canvas. I don't believe that I gave you the name. We actually just came up with it yesterday. So
I
that's
love it
new.
actually. It flows off the tongue really nice.
Yeah, came together as a group and got it. But enough about me. This is the lovely guest, Yana. She's a close friend, somebody I cherish dearly. So how are you feeling today?
I'm good, honestly. How are you?
I can't complain. No complaints on my end. How do you feel? I don't know if this is your first time being on a podcast. You nervous? You happy?
It is, it
Excited?
is. I'm actually very excited. This is super interesting.
Got you. Got you. Let's hope your nerves are better than mine. But anyway, what's it called? So, Greek culture. I know only as much as you've told me. You were actually my first kind of introduction into Greek culture. So, for somebody that knows little about it, how would you go about describing it?
Well, I don't know. Growing up around Greek culture wasn't something I was exposed to at an early age. The only introduction to Greek culture I really had was my mother. My mother is an immigrant. My mother was born, raised, went to school in Greece. She
Hmm.
traveled over to the United States when she met my dad, and she's built herself up. My dad being half Greek, we always had a sense of self and a sense of what it meant to be Greek in this house, but it was always enforced by my mother. Um, Being Greek to me, I mean, I'm obviously extremely proud. I have my flag up. I wear my Greek name. It's my first language. It's something that growing up where I'm from in New Jersey, there aren't a lot of Greek people around. So there was never somebody I could talk to my age about what it was like to be Greek, or somebody I could share my language with or share my experiences with. And it was something
Hmm.
that was always saddening, but at the same time, it was something that I could teach other people about or explain the beauties of my culture to other people. It was something that I could share with others.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I mean, like you said, you didn't really grow up with anybody around you. So I know you have the utmost pride in it now, but was there ever a point in your life where you felt like you had to suppress it, or you felt that there was a need to like hold it back in just to please other people?
It's actually really embarrassing for me to talk about now, but when I was little, um, just for background context, Greek culture and Greek people in general, our livelihood is surrounded by our religion. Most Greek people
Hmm.
are Greek Orthodox Christians, and a lot
Wow.
of our values and a lot of our belief systems and the way that we raise our children and go about our day, it really, at the end of it, it comes right back down to our faith and our religion. And one of the
Mm.
most, visible practices is how we name our children and how our children name their children. Everyone in our culture is named after saints. So it's a circulation of around 20 to 30 names that everybody has. But I am named after my maternal grandmother, and her name is
Mm.
pronounced Ioanna. And when my mother and my father had decided that that's the name that they would choose, the name in English translates to Joanna. And my dad really didn't like that name at all. So he goes, either they're going to pronounce her name correctly or we're going to have to
Mm.
pick a different name. So I love my grandmother, I love my mother, I love my name now, but as a child, when like growing up, I went to a school where most of my classmates were particularly white and they couldn't pronounce my name correctly, and it was something that even if they tried, it never sounded right, and it was always something that was really sad. So I adopted a nickname that my grandmother was also called, Yana. And from as early as 4 years old, I can remember 4 or 5 years old going into kindergarten, my mom would sit in the car and coach me and say, when you introduce yourself to the kids, make sure you say, hi, my name is Ioana, but if it's something that you can't say, you can call me Yana. And they would try, they would get a kick out of it. It would be something that would make me laugh. Very lighthearted and children's fun. But eventually they would all just call me Yana. And eventually it was something that I just stopped doing. I figured there was no point because growing up, like changing schools, going into high school, meeting new people, it became really excessive and something I didn't really want to go through. So, now as somebody who's 18 and moving forward and going into college, I said earlier that it's something that's embarrassing because looking back on it now, a lot of my closest friends, people I've been friends with for 4, 5, 6 years, they don't know that the name that they've been calling me for all those years really isn't my name.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I feel like I'm not only doing myself a disservice, but my culture a disservice, my friends a disservice, because it is a beautiful name. It's my grandmother's name. And I'm getting better at introducing myself that way, even if it takes a couple extra minutes. If somebody really wants to get to know me, it's something that they should learn.
Got you. So, I mean, moving forward, do you plan on still saying hello, my name is Yana, or do you want to say I'm Joanna? Um, like, which one are you leaning more towards?
Um, it's not something I've given too much thought. At the end of the day, I love the name Yana. It's the name, it rolls off the tongue nice. It's something that I'm used to being called. But the name Ioana, it means so much to me as well. So I'll introduce myself as both. And at the end of the day, I'm comfortable being called by either one. It's just something for a long time I had wanted to change my name. I had looked up the process. I had really wanted to water it down to take the meaning out of it. And it's something that's it's a beautiful part of who I am. So I will start to introduce myself both ways.
Got you. Got you. And it's crazy too because you mentioned you've gone all these years, you're in your 18th year and especially going through all those years being called, a name kind of not the way it's pronounced and still being able to, not only just deal with it, but accept it is incredible because I know myself, I get irritated when people will mispronounce my name. So I give you major props for, not only being able to do that, but especially getting props for being able to graduate high school.
Thank
Because
you so
for
much.
the viewers that don't know, she has just graduated and she'll be going to Rutgers in the fall. So
Woo!
we give her major props for that and
Okay.
congratulations once more. But another thing is about all of that is I know that, high school, some people will even call, excuse me, high school the best 4 years of your life. And I know in America, we have a lot of traditions when it comes to, you know, high school culture. American high school culture is kind of its own subculture of American culture. We take prom seriously, graduations, dances, first dates, all of those. We take those and hold them in high regard when we're in high school. I know you were kind of raised in America, but I also know that you have been to Greece plenty of times. So
Yes,
would you
yes.
say that there's kind of a difference in how they treat high school in Greece versus how they do it in America?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would definitely say I'm very close. I have cousins my age and we're very close. We talk often and things are just extremely different. Um, not only in sense of what is deemed really important, what is, what is what is important to people our age, culturally, musically, in terms of studying and in general. There's just major differences. One being, I've noticed that there are so many more opportunities that you have access to being an American citizen, going to school here and graduating here. That's something that my cousin constantly expresses so much envy about. She's like, you're so lucky you get to go to school here and college here. In Greece, their educational system is set up differently. Here we do 8 and 4. In Greece, they do 6 and 6. And something else that's really impressive with the Greek system is that they, it's understood early on that not everyone gets to go to college. So a big issue with both of my cousins that I've seen is they're all constantly very stressed, always studying, because there is a really cutthroat competition, fear in general around being successful. Greece is a beautiful country. There's a lot of tourism, but it is also a very poor country. And the people that live there don't necessarily always have it easy. And they're all very, very hard workers. So from an early age, it's instilled that you have to be a good student. You have to go to school. You need to get your education. I'm not sure, but in terms of traditions and milestones, it's pretty much the same. Your first kiss is always your most important, your first job, your high school dances. I remember my cousin was telling me a story because in Greece, they take an extra class and it's traditional Greek dance. And what they do is, they'll learn these really intricate, amazing, they'll take it over the course of a year. They'll learn so many traditional Greek dances. And at the end of the year, they do this major performance and the guys do flips and cartwheels and the girls dance and they're dressed up in all this beautiful traditional wear. And afterwards, they'll just celebrate it being over because it's the summer and you're sticky and you're sweaty. And I always just thought that was so cool because they're so in tune with that more ancient part of our culture that even though they do it here through programs like Goya and through church groups and stuff, it just feels so much more authentic watching it there because it's something that everyone always gets involved in and everyone shares that aspect with each other. Your peers, the people sitting next to you, they all know they are all the same,
Okay, that's awesome, and especially about the guys and girls doing cartwheels because man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
I couldn't do it either. Trust me when I tell you.
never want to. But that kind of does bring into a point, I guess, about the athletic side of things, because in America, oh my gosh, do we take sports seriously to such a high degree. What about Greece, because I do know that there have been Greek players in the NBA. I can't say I know too much about sports, so I can't really name names.
Greek freak. We love him. I don't know. I can't really speak to sports other than soccer. I know that soccer is really big in Greece. My parents personally are AEK fans, which you definitely don't know what that is, but it's the Greek league.
Do that.
No, but the Greek league, they play sports, and I know that around the Olympic times, people will watch the Olympics, and that was us. Swimming is big. When my mom was growing up in college and throughout her time in a secondary school, she played handball, which I didn't know what that was. I was like, Mom, because my mom has a bit of an accent and we speak Greek in the house. I was like, you mean volleyball? And she got so wildly offended. She was like, it's not the same thing. And yeah, I feel like in general, sports is a very good way to connect young children and teach you valuable lessons for life, how to be a team player, how to strategize, how to plan for the future in general, how to work with other people that you might not like, just in general. I feel like sports on a very broad spectrum is something that is loved all over the world, especially in Greece. They love their sports.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And going back to, the values that, sports kind of implements into you, for lack of a better word. I know you mentioned earlier how, you have cousins that go through school and they stress out because it's kind of forced upon them in such a way that it may not exactly be the same over here in America. So did that philosophy and those beliefs did those parents kind of apply that on you, that it's school first and it's grades first before anything else?
I mean, I can't speak for every immigrant parent that's from Greece. I can only speak to my mother and her specific situation and her family. My mother did not grow up wealthy, but my mother did grow up very happy. And both of her parents, early on, my mother was born, maybe I shouldn't say the year, but my mother was born in the 80s. So she was encouraged to not go to school, to learn to sew, and to focus on being a good wife and a good mother and, cooking and cleaning. But my mom deep down had always known that, in order to get out of the situation that her family was in, like, she would need to get in a good education. And what is done in Greece is, at the end of your career as a student, you take one big test, and that test in tune determines what kind of future you will have. So my mom scored high enough that she was able to go to school in a different city, super far away, so she could get out of her small town, and studied to be an accountant. And my mom is a self-made woman, and my mom really does believe in the power of education, because without her education, she wouldn't be here. So in terms of my parents' values, both my parents have always stressed the importance of having a good education and having a college degree. And something my mom constantly says, which, it's like ringing in my ears right now because she says it so often.
Yeah.
My mom really believes that at the end of the day, if you lose everything, nobody can take your education away from you. That's something that will carry you and follow you for the rest of your life. It's such a powerful tool. And my mom had always encouraged us to practice the arts and do sports, but at the end of the day, you came home and you finished your homework, or you could go hang out with your friends and go to this trip or join this club, but at the end of the day, your grades need to stay where they are. And oh my God, especially in high school, when you want to go out for coffee and you want to go to the mall with friends and go here and there, and it gets so frustrating and so annoying, somebody constantly breathing down your neck. But I'm very grateful for it. I'm very grateful that she instilled those values in me. And it's something I definitely appreciate and understand in general. Like, I know that my uncles are the same way on their kids, and they live in Greece. But yes, education is really stressed and really important.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned, your mom was born in Greece, and I know that, you were raised in America. So I know you've kind of gotten both sides of the coin almost. But my question is like, I know that you were raised kind of in a Greek American culture. So when you do go to Greece, are there some things that you pick up that kind of surprises you, like some things about living in Greece and experiencing the whole, like, that whole country, that it almost surprises you compared to living in America?
Yeah, I mean, in general, as soon as you go to Greece, it's one thing that you're like, Jesus, I never want to leave. I want to stay here forever on the nice white sand and never go back to my country. But a few things that have stood out to me over the years, and I've been traveling to Greece since I was 2. Me and my brother went to the Olympics when they were in Greece. We went to so many baptisms and so many weddings. Like, we've been to Greece almost every single year since we were born. So we've gone to the we've gone to Greece all the time because my mom's whole family is still there. So from the most to the least, one of the things that stands out to you right away as soon as you get off the plane is how clean the air is, and how
Yeah.
clean the streets are, and how fresh the water is. Greece, being a small country, they don't have half the issues with pollution that we do. But as soon as you go from an area like New York and New Jersey, from very, very intense pollution to an area very, very low pollution, it's very, very noticeable, and you feel it in like right away. Your skin gets clear. You just feel like amazing. I don't know how to explain it. In Greece as well, like I had mentioned before, the education system is very, very different. And the differences, like I said before, make it super cutthroat. Um, in Greece, I don't know. I mean, we see poverty here a lot in this country, but in Greece, you can see poverty on the streets when you're going to the supermarket. It's just everywhere. Couple months ago, actually, from my grandmother, we had heard that a woman that lived on my grandmother's block, elderly woman around like 75 years old, she had passed away because she didn't have food to eat. And the whole like culture in general, very stoic. She didn't ask for help, and she just starved. I don't know. Like, that's not an issue here. Like, there are so many resources, so many places you can go, so many people you can ask for help. That's a very big difference between here and there. And the last one, and probably the most impressive, is their medical systems. It's extremely, extremely different. So, for example, last summer when we went to Greece, my brother, first of all, oh my God, if you are ever taking a plane and you find cheaper tickets and they say that there is a connecting flight in Chicago, don't do it. It is not worth any amount of money. We were stuck in Chicago for 3 days going and 2 days coming back. They sent us to
checking up on you.
They sent us to Spain by accident. Who does that? But somewhere amongst all of that craziness, my brother had contracted an ear infection. He had an ear infection, and it only got worse as we were traveling. So as soon as we got to Greece, he was throwing up and he was really sick. And we went to the Kedro Ygeias. And Kedro Ygeias is not the same as a hospital, because in the hospital you see a doctor. My brother saw I guess it would be the equivalent of a nurse practitioner. And then she gave my mom a list of suggested medications, and my mom went and got antibiotics and antibiotic ear drops over the counter at a pharmacy. Like, you can go and just buy antibiotics. Like, you want to buy antibiotics, you can buy antibiotics. I don't know. That's one of the things, like, as somebody who wants to pursue medicine, like that really stood out to me as being very, very different, because my brother didn't see a doctor, but got antibiotics. Like, I don't know. That was one of the things that there's like a running joke, especially my uncle. He always says that if you go in for a cough, like, they'll diagnose you with a broken leg, and you'll be like, well, I'm standing on it and it's fine. And they'll be like, no, 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 it's broken. Sounds much better when it's in Greek, the joke. But yeah, the medical system is extremely different, and I want to say a little bit more disorganized. But at the same time, maybe I shouldn't, because it's just something that's different. It's just something I'm not used to.
Oh, all right. I got you. Got you. Well, what's it called? It's great that your brother was able to be treated. And after all that, because again, I remember we were texting and I was trying to see where you were. You said Spain, and I was
Yes, I
dumbfounded. I was
remember.
dumbfounded. Like, I couldn't figure out how, like, I don't know the
We
world like
still
that,
don't know
but
how that happened.
yeah, I don't know a world map, and I don't know how close Spain is to Greek, but that did catch me off guard.
They said, we'll leave you somewhere in Europe. Should be good, right?
Somewhere. It may not be the place you wanted, but
My
hey,
mom
out of the
was
country.
furious. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. Hey, if something bad happens, it's just something that will turn into a really funny story one day. That's just the way that you got to look
Yeah,
at it. It is a really fun story to
that-
tell.
yeah. I mean, what's it called? We're joking about it now, so I mean, I mean, I look back, like I remember because I remember before, you used to send me videos about the clear. I remember the clear water. I remember the beaches. I remember all
Yes,
the photos you took and posted on Instagram. But I also remember everything that happened before that and how much of a mess it was just to get to
yeah,
that paradise. So
it was.
yeah,
But it is.
but
And it's not only because the country is beautiful, it's because I get to squeeze my little baby cousins and bake with my grandma. I don't know, it's just some things that other people get to do often or every once in a while. I don't ever get to do because my dad doesn't have siblings. So we have no
mm,
family here other than our immediate family. So
uh,
yeah, it's always really, really great to be there and to spend some time with those people because life is short. And at the end of the day, if we have to go to Chicago to be reunited with them for a few days, so be it.
actually, what's it called? That brings up another point. I mean, like I often take for granted the fact that I have so much of my family in Jersey, and
Mm,
because of that, it's always I always do my best that if I'm not calling you, it's not because I don't want to call you, but rather I want to see you in person because
yeah.
it always brings a smile to my face when I get to go and my grandma lights up compared to just a quick 10-20 minute phone call. But in the case of you, I mean, sometimes you do just you don't always get the opportunity to go. Sometimes
Mm.
you do have to just pick up the phone. So because your family does live in another country, how does it kind of affect the relationship you guys have? Does it make it stronger? Do you wish it was better? Like, what's your take on it?
This is actually a really exciting point for me to talk about because um, it's one of those things, especially when you're leaving high school or you drift apart from friends, you make excuses, or, there's always an I'll do it later. Managing relationships over distance requires
Uh,
nothing but love and time. My mother has spoken on the phone every single day with her mother for 20 years. Maybe once in a while
mm,
she'll miss it, but every single day, they might actually be talking now. It's around 4. Yep, my mom every day calls her mother and they speak for a while. And, my grandma, she won't hear this, but my grandmother talks a lot. And my mom just lets her go on and on for minutes at a time. And she just is there to listen. And it's really comforting because she's my grandmother's only daughter. And having her so far, it still hurts, even after all of this time. So
mm,
they talk every single day. At the end of the day, it really is just about effort and time and how badly you want to speak to somebody. I talk to my cousin. My cousin actually has my same name, my cousin Joanna. We talk um, every couple of days. It's easier for us since we have the power of Instagram and social
yeah.
media. She's a Snapchat away. And if she doesn't open it now, she'll open it when she wakes up in a couple hours. And we communicate that way. And I don't know, for a long time, I was very anti social media. So me and my cousins were not strangers, but, we weren't as close. And now we tell each other secrets. We talk about our aunts. We complain a lot. We talk about school. I've done her English homework a couple of times. Like we're really good. We're cousins, but we're also really good friends. And I have social media to thank for that 100% tenfold.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, what's it called? Going back to social media, do you think that, because I know some people have their own opinion, like, oh, social media is the devil, and oh, no,
Mm.
there are advantages. So,
I
going,
used to be one of those people. Like, don't even start. Like, I
I
definitely used to
mean,
be one of
I
those
mean, I
people.
know, I mean, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but,
Yeah. Oh my God.
but,
Like, I saw your
but
face
she
as soon
used
as
to be
I
one of
said I
those
have.
people.
Yeah, no, I used to totally be one of those people. I was very anti-social media because the way that I was using it, I was consuming media that was very draining on my mental health. I was following people that I wasn't friends with in real life and having to constantly see people that I wasn't talking to or had drifted from, like just going on without, it's selfish to say, but just moving on without me. Or in
Mhm.
general, like you see women's bodies portrayed in a way that isn't realistic, and you start to compare yourself, and social media just opens a door for negativity, but at the same time it's opened, floodgates for so much positivity, so many opportunities. I don't know. Actually, for Rutgers, I did have to write a piece about why I think social media is either negative or positive, and that was one of the points that I brought up. Being able to, interact with my family, so
Uh,
important to
uh,
me. Being able to communicate with people that I don't see every day. I'm not pro social media yet, but I am getting there. I
so
definitely
sounds like,
appreciate it. It's a very powerful tool.
well, what's it called? The viewers don't know this, but she has certainly come a long way. But
Yeah,
we give
oh
you
my
props.
yeah.
But that's it's kind of crazy because social media, and especially Instagram, because I'll use that as an example. Instagram in itself is its own culture because it's a group of people that kind of come under one umbrella, and they sort of share same similar traditions, which in this case would be uploading photos. Yeah, it might be for a different. It might be for everybody uploads a picture for a different purpose, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the same core values that sort of remain the same regardless of what your account is. So that could be considered a culture or a subculture if you wanted to get more specific, like maybe business Instagrammers or influencers Instagrammers. So my question kind of comes like, what other subcultures or other cultures are you a part of? And do they also kind of connect back to your Greek heritage and your Greek culture in some ways?
Does Dr. Pimple Popper count? I'm trying to think. I definitely follow a lot of news outlets. I'm very into being in the loop and knowing what's going on, especially with the current climate of our world with the coronavirus and the Black Lives Matter movement, just getting resources out
Mhm.
there for people that I interact with to be able to support other people. Recently, I've started doing something. I'm going to get so excited talking about it, but I've started doing something that I've always wanted to do since I was a little child because my aunt in Greece had brought it up to me, and she did it for a while, but then she stopped. I got very into pen paling, and I've exchanged letters with people from as close quote unquote as California and Texas to as
uh,
far as like the Philippines and the UK, Belgium, Austria, Ukraine. And I've been able to share my Greek culture with them and my American culture with them and learn more about what goes on in their daily lives. Sometimes we won't talk about anything, sometimes we'll just talk about how today went. Or my one pen pal, James from the UK, we constantly talk about Stephen King novels because that's one of the things we have in common. I don't know. I feel like that's just opened a door. I would have never done it without Instagram. That's one of those things because it made it so much easier to find those people. But it
uh,
opened so many doors for me to become more educated and talk more about how other people feel about the world. Um, yeah, it's super duper cool. And they're all people my age, all university aged students. I don't know. And it's crazy to see how differently people live from where
mm,
you are to where they are.
yeah.
Like the one kid, James, I talked to him and my friend from Belgium the most. And they were both so impressed with how much it costs to go to college here even after, aid and staying in state. And, James really hates that, we aren't taught more about all of the horrible, horrible things we've done to, the Kingdom of Hawaii, for example. We aren't taught that in school, or what happened in Puerto Rico and Cuba. Very outraged. He's very, very, very anti-America, anti-Trump, which, I won't say much, but me too. So we were just, so it's always super cool to talk about, politics, books, nail polish colors, cute washi tape, ideas for the future, hopes and dreams with people that you might never ever meet. I might never meet these people in person. I might never get to see them smile or hear their laughs, but I feel like I know them, and they might know me better than people that I have in my own life. And it traces back to, again, my Greek culture. It's something that I'm able to share with people that want to listen. I don't know, it's a very beautiful thing, and I'm very, very grateful for it.
Awesome. And it actually kind of sounds like you have a lot of common with the people you talk to, so that's great. Do you kind of ever feel that, your cultures, be it the Greek culture that you're a part of or any other culture that, you consider yourself a part of, do you feel that they intertwine with the people that you kind of meet online in some ways or some aspects, be it maybe you guys kind of have a similar history, maybe it's just down to the similar cuisines you guys make, or heck, it can even be, same shirt or same shirts you guys look like.
I feel like, so the girl from Belgium, her name is Helena, and we talk not only through the letters, but we I contact my cousin through the FaceTime, quote unquote, through Instagram. We talk for a couple minutes every now and then, so she can practice her English and I can be graced with her presence. And that's just something that I think is so cool. At the end of the day, we met because we are going into the same field of study. And it's so cool because she's actually still currently in university right now. Like, she's finishing up her exams. I think it's the 30th. She should be doing her last exam. And the time difference, she should have finished already. I should probably text her and say congratulations. But, just in general, she would send me pictures of her textbook, and it looked so similar to the one that I had as a senior in high school. My anatomy book, about, bone marrow and all of these interesting things. And, we would just talk about how stressed out we are, and just, we found little common pockets of peace from our everyday lives and came together and shared them. And I don't know, it's just something that's so, so beautiful. I don't know, I'm able to share recipes with her. I share a lot of actually Greek food recipes with her. And that's something that I never, ever thought I would do, because I remember being, in 5th and 6th grade, and my mom would pack me homemade food. One of my favorite Greek recipes ever is spanakopita. And basically it's what it sounds like. Spinach, and pita, pie. It's spinach pie. And it's something that people would always be like, oh, that's kind of gross. And I'm like, it's actually really good when you try it. And everyone would be like, no, it's okay. So, we just share recipes and stuff. It's just, she's interested. It's genuine interest in me and my culture and my likes and my dislikes. So yeah, I exchange parts of myself with her, and she does the same. And we've cultivated this pseudo friendship, which is still new, but also really cool. And it's amazing. It's lovely. I have so much love for her. I wish her all the best. And I would buy a ticket to Belgium one day in the far future to meet her. I think she's a wonderful person.
Well, that's great. I'm happy that you kind of been able to meet a friend, so far away, so far out there in the world. And, if you ever wanted to, let me get a taste test of the spinach pie, I'd be happy. I'm open to it. I love spinach, actually. So, that's something
I need to bring
really
you next year. I'm bringing you to a Greek festival in oh, probably not now with Corona, they won't have them,
Right.
but you know, when everything dies down, every year before the start of the school year, um,
Uh,
our Greek churches do like Greek festivals, like in September and
uh,
stuff. And there's always so much Greek food and Greek dancing and Greek music and, you know, stuff to buy, things to see, games to play. It's one of the coolest things. It's one of the only like Greek traditions, like panegyri, that's really been brought over here like tenfold. Like they go all out. You will definitely be having some spinach pie,
all right.
100%.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Actually, what's it called? At these events, I know you mentioned they have like games and a lot of things to do. So like what are like you've gone there often, so what usually happens at like these events and festivals that kind of gives people that, that allows people to see Greek culture for what it is?
Well, a lot of eating and a lot of dancing, which is Greek culture in a nutshell. But as far as games, the church, whatever church it's held at, will always like, you know, rent, carnival games, things like that for the children. And there will always be vendors, Greek vendors. Actually, let me see if I can find. I mean, I got my nameplate necklace from Greece, but they sell them at those too. They sell like beauty products and things from Greece, like shirts that say Greece,
Uh,
just a lot of goods from Greece. And there's always good food and good music and a lot of good people. And a really cool thing too is people will just come talk to you. Like they will come grab you out of your seat and ask you to dance and teach you to dance. Like it's a very loving, tight knit community because there's not a lot of us, honestly. Like you meet a Greek person, it really depends on where you're from. Like not gonna say much, but I know a lot of the Greek people that are like super duper Greek live in the suburbs. There are not a lot of Greek people that live in the city, just because like I don't know,
mm,
Greek people tend to like make money and then like move to the suburbs. Like that's kind of like the 20-year plan for every Greek person ever. Like, buy a nice house in the suburbs, put your kids in Greek school in Goya and, retire. But the few like Greek city kids like will travel out to like go to those events and it's a lot of fun. Like you get to see how different people live. I don't know. It's really cool. Like that's one of the things that I really enjoy out of the year. And it was one of those things growing up where, coming back from Greece in August, I wasn't always super duper sad because I knew when I went back, like I'd be having something to look forward to. Every year, my grandfather would take us. Good memories, good times.
Wow, that's great. And when it comes to these festivals, like I know, especially where we're from, like we see the festivals because we know there's a group of people that are getting together and they're celebrating something, whatever it may be. And it kind of gives people maybe a first look into it than things that they didn't know before. So, like, for example, I don't know much about Greece culture, but when I think of it, or when I think of the word Greece, I think of Greek mythology just because I'm a nerd. But
Yeah.
what's it called?
Me too. I read Percy Jackson. We're here. We exist.
We do exist. I have read Percy Jackson front and back, and I'm still currently reading the last series. So we'll see how that turns out. But for you, what is one thing, like, what's your favorite thing about Greece culture that you kind of wish people really knew more about?
That's a difficult one. I'd have to think because I feel like Greece has, well, other than the fact that, our economy is terrible and that's how we're painted in the media and stuff, we're just good people. We're very hardworking people. Something that I thought was really interesting more recently is Greece actually acted really quickly with COVID. Their COVID response was one of the best. And I'm not just saying that because it's a stereotype that Greek people think everything is great about Greece, but they did act very quickly and he saved thousands and thousands of lives because at the end of the day, we don't have the budget. We didn't have the money. And people would have died if he didn't act as fast as he did. And you
Mm,
know, Greece is proof. Like so many other countries that acted quickly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Japan. Japan had a very quick
mhm.
reaction. Um, I'm not sure, but in general, like it was just proof that, you know, if we had acted quicker, we could have saved so many more people. I think it's really impressive that a country that's so much smaller than the US, with not even a fraction of the budget, was able to, you know, come out of it almost unscathed.
Yeah, and I give you guys credit for being able to do it. It was kind of a, and it's an interesting thing because when I came back, from college because they had shut the dorms down and everything, I was here for about 2 weeks and my mom had actually contracted it, but fortunately,
No, I'm so
she's
sorry.
fine. Yeah, it's all good now. I mean, thankfully she's much better. She's able to go back to work and she's been 110%.
That's
But it kind
wonderful.
of shows, yeah, and it kind of shows you like how much you can learn, not just about a person through their culture, but how their culture and how their country kind of reacts and does things that, not just America, but us as humans can just take notes on and do better with. That's actually kind of why I wanted to,
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
that's why I wanted to start this series because it kind of gives people all accents of just what a culture is about, how they do things, what
And
they like.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do also want to
It's
give
cool.
you props and really commend you for what you're doing, because I think by the end of this series, I mean, I'm not sure if this is the first episode, but by the end of the series, I hope that whoever's listening will come to understand that we're really not that different at the end of the day. We all have
Mm,
different aspects about our culture that, you know, we think a different way, we might act a different way, we pray differently, we eat different food. But at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have hopes and dreams, and we're all working towards something every day. I think this is a really good
yeah.
idea. I really do commend you for doing this.
Well, thank you. Well, before we kind of end it and before we stop the, recording, what is one takeaway you would want people who kind of view this to leave knowing about whether it be you, your Greek culture, or any other culture you're a part of? What is one thing that you would kind of want people to leave with?
Um, I really can't think of much to say other than to treat people with kindness. I feel like in general, like as a person, as somebody who's a part of a culture, that, you know, that's what I've been taught since infancy. Like treat people with kindness and go about your day treating people the way that you would want to be treated. That's what
Okay,
I would like to leave your listeners with.
awesome. Well, what's it called? Again, Yana, words can't express how thankful I am that you took the time to kind of
Thank you
come
so much
here.
for having me. You don't understand. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have been a part of this.
Not a problem. Thank you. And again, what's it called? That's it for the first episode. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
So, thank you oh so much for watching the first episode of Cultural Canvas. You guys could have been watching anything with your free time, but you took the time to watch Cultural Canvas, and for that, I thank you so much. There's plenty more coming along the way, so please stick around. And with that being said, I'll see you guys around.